Welcome back, everyone, to a new video. It's that time of week again where we sit down and we talk about the best and worst covers coming out in comic shops this week on the new release books. I hope you all had an amazing free comic book day last Saturday and you're super excited for all the new releases coming out and hitting store shelves this Wednesday, May 7th, 2025. And your boy is here for you to display all the best and worst covers that are coming out for said books, getting ready to hit spinner racks. Now, I'm going to kind of do this the way I've done it last week. There's not a whole lot to choose from this week. There's quite a few books, but not a lot of them had a ample supply to pick from as far as covers go. And some of them had so many covers. I'm looking at you, Thundercats, Herculoids, and Captain Planet that are all the same, just maybe recolored or, things like that. So we're not going to go through all those. So I just picked the best and worst ones I like. And this week, instead of doing the in-depth breakdown again, I'm going to go ahead and just do the off the cuff, off the top of my head, first reactions and kind of tell you what I was thinking about these when I pulled them and assigned them to best and worst to kind of give you a pool to choose from. So then you could tell me which way you like this video more. So that way, moving forward, I know how to better, entertain you as my content viewer. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into our best and worst covers of the week for the week of May 7th, 2025. And kicking us off this week, as always, is our offerings from DC Comics. And from DC, we're going to start here with, this is not Batman 159. I apologize for that. This is Absolute Green Lantern number 2. We have an A cover. We have this B Juliet Nakara variant. We have a C Darian Clark variant. And then we have this D Jeffrey Spokes connecting variant. Then, see, I fixed it on the second slide. I don't know what I was thinking on the first one. Then we have an Absolute Green Lantern 2. On our incentive covers, we have an E 1 in 25 Alex Ekman Law variant and an F 1 in 50 Julia Nakara Virgin variant. Now, on these books, I couldn't pick a worst cover because I'll be honest with you, I love all these covers. I think every single one of these covers is an absolute banger. I really could not find anything worthy of talking bad upon or putting it in the worst category. So I think no matter what cover you pick up on this Absolute Green Lantern number 2, you can't go wrong. But I'll tell you, the one that really stands out to me is this 1 in 25 Alex Ekman Law variant. I just kind of like the way it comes off as maybe a little construction papery with the Green Lantern here and how she's got different shades of green and kind of pulling away on top of like what looks like spill art. I think it's really cool and really dope. And if I have to choose, I will probably get that cover if I have the availability. Otherwise, you can't go wrong with any of the open order covers, let alone the incentives on this book. So good job, Absolute Green Lantern, on absolutely killing it as far as variant covers go this week. Next up for best cover of the week, we have this Poison Ivy Ki Young Amon variant. I think this cover is beautiful. I like the use of the yellows, the red in the hair, the green, the way she's captured her muscle tone. I think this cover is absolutely beautiful. And the use of the wild red hair on that like yellowish green background, along with the green of her body, really makes this cover pop, really makes it stand out. And I think it would look amazing with a green paint pen signature right across that yellow background. I think this cover is absolutely stunning and the best Poison Ivy cover for this number 33 issue. And it's cover C. You can't go wrong with that. Up next for a worst cover for Poison Ivy 33, we have this B cover, the Joshua Sway Swaby variant. I don't like this cover. I don't like the way that it covers her face. It's very simplistic. I understand that you're going for that artistic freedom and that artistic expression, but it's not one that really stood out to me as far as like my purchasing power goes. And I just feel like it's very, very busy and it's got a lot going on. And the one thing about Poison Ivy is you want to see the entirety of her. You want to see her face. You want to see her body. You want to see that classic red hair, that green, outfit. It's all part of what makes Poison Ivy, and why covering her face, you're covering half of what's appealing and stands out for this character. And I just don't like the way this character is depicted in this cover. And it's one that, to me, I appreciate the artistic expression, but it's not one that jumps out at me and says, hey,
by me, especially at a $4.99 cover price. Up next, for best covers of the week, we have Batgirl number 7, Ryuko Murakami variant. I love this cover. I love the way it kind of reflects that girl in the window as she's sitting there in her costume on what looks like a bus. I just think it's a very well done cover. I think it stands out. And if you're a Batgirl fan, this is probably the cover I would recommend going with. It was the best offering from this Batgirl title this week. Up next for worst covers of the week, we have this Two-Face number 6. This cover B, Christian Ward variant. This isn't a bad cover, but I think what I don't really like about it is how squished the face is, how squished Two-Face's face is. And it's kind of like his other half is stepping out of his body, essentially. I like the metaphor there, but I just don't really like the way the head is squished. And with all the squiggling and different use of colors, I feel like there's so much going on there that it's hard to like really pinpoint one great thing. And like I said, it just the just shape of the head and everything just really doesn't stand out to me. And I think you could have done a little bit more than just all the red in the background and the floor. There could have been a little bit more color in the background than red and yellow, or red and oranges, and a little bit of yellow to kind of make that background differentiate from the foreground of the rest of the image. But that's just my opinion. You might like this cover, but I feel like there are, stronger offerings this week on this book than this cover here. Up next, we have Justice League. Rounding out our best and worst covers of the week, we have Justice League, the Atom Project number 5. It's 1 in 25, cover E, Nimit Melvia variant, if I could pronounce that right. I just love the way that you kind of have Atom in the palm of a robot there, with the light coming up from underneath him and illuminating his silhouette, or I should say his profile. It's just a very beautiful and well done cover. Very meticulous, very detailed, very well done. That's it for DC. Now we're moving into our Marvel portion of the week. And our first offering from Marvel Comics comes to us from Ultimate Wolverine number 5. That's 1 in 25. Stephen Segovia variant. I really like this cover. I like the kind of shadowy of what I'm, assuming is Sabretooth's hands in the front there, with this Ultimate Wolverine claws out, dashing forward or jumping forward in an action pose to deliver a knockout blow. It seems like, I don't know if you've really enjoyed this title. I hear a lot of people mixed on this title. I, for one, have pretty much enjoyed it. I thought the reveal at the last issue was awesome, with that Phoenix, and seeing how the Phoenix is going to play into this, and just all these different X-Men characters fitting into this Ultimate Wolverine world. Not just that, but this new Ultimate Universe. I'm excited to pick up this issue and see where this book goes. I have heard, like I said, a lot of people on the fence about this book, whether they like it, they don't like it. Let me know in the comment section below. Are you reading Ultimate Wolverine? Do you like it, or have you already jumped off? And let me know too, when do you usually jump off a book? Is it 1 issue, 2 issues, 5 issues? For me, it's usually around issue 5. If I haven't got into it by issue 5, then for me, it's time to pull the plug and use that hard-earned dollar somewhere else. And of course, we have another offering here from Marvel. It's our X-Men 16 Alex Ross Timeless Miss Marvel Virgin variant. How can you not like this classic Miss Marvel look? The black and yellow with the red sash. Very beautiful cover. And of course, it's the legendary Alex Ross. You can't go wrong with absolutely any covers from Alex Ross. For worst cover of the week, we have Psylocke 7. This 1 in 50 W. Scott Forbes Psylocke Virgin variant. I see a lot of people actually like this cover. For me, it's how faded it looks. It looks like an overexposed photo. I think if it wasn't the faded the way it was, and the blacks of her hair popped a little bit more, and the purple of her suit popped a little bit more, and just if it wasn't so faded, I think it would be a beautiful cover. The face kind of bothers me too, but I could look past that. But it just, everything on this looks like an overexposed photo, and for me, it doesn't really do it, especially at a 1 in 50. Is this cover really worth that ratio money? Is it really worth that $50 that you're gonna potentially spend on, if not more, buying it on the secondary market? To me, it's not. To me, it's one I'm gonna leave on the shelf. I think it leaves a lot wanting. If the colors were there and a little bit more vibrant, and the image popped a little bit more, it would easily be on the best covers of the week, even with that, my issues with the face and kind of the way it looks. It almost looks like her hair is like squishing her face in that aspect. But like I said, to me, it just looks like an overexposed photo. So it really just doesn't do it for me. But from a cover that doesn't do it for me to a cover that does, we have Amazing Spider number 3, this Alex Malavi variant. I love this cover. I love the way it looks like it was painted onto canvas. Spider-Man in action, hopping through the city, shooting a web, clearing people's laundry on the lines. It's just a very well done, Amazing Spider-Man cover on a series that I really am loving and feels like it's been rejuvenated for me after what we got from our previous runs of Amazing Spider-Man. From best cover to worst cover, though, we have this Amazing Spider-Man number 3 Rose Beige variant. I'm not a big fan of this just because there's sometimes the anime style works. I'm not a big fan of like that hard, solid black line outline for the body. And he's just randomly eating a stick of something. There's no real explanation. He's taking a break from crime fighting in Central Park, I guess. I don't know. But to me, I just not a big fan of the cutesy, like chibi anime look on Peter's face here. And it just sometimes Rose Bush's stuff really hits for me, and sometimes it's a real miss. And on this one, it's just a miss for me. Like I said, the hard lines on Spider-Man's body and for the outline, I'm not a big fan on. But usually it's one I could look past. But for me, it's just the one cover that absolutely is not hitting this week. Now we move into All New Venom number 6. Of course, if you remember last issue of All New Venom number 5, we got that big reveal that the All New Venom is actually Mary Jane Watson. So we got our A cover here of Mary Jane and Venom fighting in the sewers, Venom vs. Jackpot. Then we got this Logan Lubra Impossible variant here at our B cover, this Pete Wood C cover, a Lucas Warnick spoiler variant as a D cover. And then we do have some incentives here. We have a 1 in 25 EJ Sue variant on our E cover and a 1 in 50 Lucas Warnick spoiler variant on our F cover. For me, the best cover of the week on this book is this 1 in 50 Lucas Warren spoiler virgin variant. Full disclosure, I am probably not buying the 1 in 50. I'm going to buy the trade dress open order, but I do like this cover so much more without the big Venom, all new Venom trade dress on the front of it. But I'm a huge Mary Jane fan. I love to collect Mary Jane covers, and this is one that'll be going right into my collection. But I won't be doing the 1 in 50. I will be doing the trade dress, but I do love the way this 1 in 50 looks. Her coming out of the Venom symbiote, the Venom symbiote around her. Face it, Tiger, you hit the jackpot, referencing her other superhero alter ego. It's a beautiful, beautiful Mary Jane cover. And alas, I can't get enough of this cover. And the cover I'm going to leave on the shelf is this Logan Lubra Impossible variant. I don't know what's going on here. I don't know if this is supposed to be some Taskmaster-esque type thing, or like, what if Green Goblin inherited the powers of Captain America, Wolverine, and whatever other heroes he wanted. This is a goofy cover, and it's not one that I feel like fits with this book. I don't understand why this is being put on here. And especially Venom number 6 of all things. It's just not a cover that hits for me. I appreciate the Amazing Spider-Man 300 and 301 homage, but I feel like that homage has been overdone so much that this is one I'm leaving on the shelf, and it's just a goofy cover that I don't feel like is really worth your time. But then we do this. We have this Azurki. I'm butchering the hell out of that. I'm sorry. Storm variant, Irakuri Storm variant at number 8. Storm number 8 here. I think this is a beautiful cover of Storm, kind of looking Asgardian with the wings on the side of her head, holding Mjolnir or another hammer of sorts, but just looking very Asgardian-esque. I think it's beautifully well done. It's a beautiful Storm cover and one that would look good in anyone's collection. Then we move into Star Wars number 1. That's right. Star Wars is relaunching through Marvel with a brand new set of number 1s. And we have this A cover. We have this Chris Sprouse B, The Force Awakens 10th anniversary variant with Kylo Ren on the front of here. Then we have this Joshua Tyler Christopher action figure variant for a C cover. And then we have this David Nakayama D variant. We also have an E cover, this Gabriel Del Otto variant. We have a logo variant for the F cover. We have a G Annie Wu Alpha sneak preview variant, or Afra sneak preview variant. Sorry. A Ken Lashley H foil variant. We do have some incentive covers. We have a 1 in 25 Pepe Lorenzo variant on the I. The J is a 1 in 50 Lionel Francis U variant. Then we have a K, 1 in 100 Gabriel Del Auto Virgin variant. And then we have this L cover, this 1 in 200 David Nakayama Virgin variant. My best cover of the week on this one is this 1 in 100 Gabriel Del Auto Virgin variant. Very much like the Venom book. I will buy the open order trade dress, but I feel like the trade dress on this book that just ruins the image, and the Virgin is so much better. But I love this 1 in 100 Virgin variant. I haven't decided yet what signature color would look awesome on this for a Gabriel Del Auto in your signature collection, but this Luke Skywalker is perfectly done. I love it so much. It's a fantastic cover and one that could be the prize of any Star Wars collector's collection. Then my worst cover of the week goes to this Andy Wu Afra Sneak Preview variant. I just feel like it's very basic. Not a whole lot going on here. It doesn't really stand out amongst the crowd with the other offerings from this Star Wars #1. It's not a terrible cover as far as the art goes or kind of what's being depicted. To me, it's not hitting the way these other books in this series are. And it's just one of the weaker offerings. So it just kind of made its way into the worst covers of the week for that reason. Then we can move into Fantastic Four Fanfare #1. We have our A cover here. We have this Nicoletta Balderi connecting cover for a B cover. We have a Mark Bagley C variant or cover, a Nick Bradshaw D cover, and then of course we have a Sarah Pacelli foil variant E cover. And then we have a couple of incentives on this book. We have a 1 in 25 Simone DeMeo variant, a 1 in 50 John Byrne Hidden Gems variant, and then an H 1 in 100 Mark Bagley Virgin variant. I will be 100% honest. I am not really a fan of any of these covers whatsoever. I think they're all very weird looking. The faces on them don't match up. Like Mark Bagley is one of my favorite artists, but look at the just face on Sue Storm here. His thing is amazing. His Reed Richards is amazing. But really, when you look at get down on the nitty gritty, what ruins it for me is the face on Sue Storm. Am I nitpicky? Absolutely. And I'll admit it. But faces are a big thing to me, like I've said before, and proportion of the face and the way the face looks. Same thing here with the Richards and Sue Storm here doing the duck face. I think Ben Grimm and Johnny Storm's kind of just got a plain face. He doesn't even have a nose. There's not a lot there on that one, but I digress. The cover I picked for my best cover of the week on this one here is this Nick Bradshaw variant. I love the way the thing looks. I love the battle scene, the destruction in the background, the uses of blacks like to represent outer space with purple, like they're still fighting in New York on Yancey Street, right outside of Ben Grimm's stomping grounds. So, I just feel like it very well represents the Fantastic Four without having to have all of them on the cover. And it's a very well done thing cover. And that's why I picked it for my best cover of the week on this book. And my worst cover of the week goes to this Nicoletta Berdini. How am I getting Berdini? Balderi connecting variant. And for me, I like the way it kind of looks like a stained glass window, but it's just very cartoony, very anime-ish. I understand maybe it'll look better when the rest of the connecting variants are together, but it just does not stand out for me. It's a little too cartoony, a little too anime-ish for me, and just doesn't really, tickle my fancy or catch my eye when it comes to a Fantastic Four book. That's it for Marvel. Now we move into our independents here. And our best cover of the week for our independents, we're going to start with Hello Darkness #10. This beautiful cover B, Jenny Frison variant. Look at that. I love the depiction of these spiders coming out of the mouth and webbing up the mouth and coming down the tongue. Pause. I think it's a very beautiful cover, very well done, and very different for Frison lately. Like you usually get those profile or straight ons from Frison. Right this up close of the mouth of the spiders coming out is a beautiful offering from Frison, and one that you should check out and definitely pick up if you're a Frison collector, or B, just reading Hello Darkness. Up next, we have an offering #1 from Robert Kirkman, Blood and Thunder #1, this E.J. Sue variant. I don't like how it doesn't look like this hair is supposed to be here, man. Like, what does she got? Her hair, she's got like a 9 head here, and her hair's just coming out of the back of her head. I don't know, man. This cover just doesn't sell it for me. I like the depiction and the detail and the junk pile she's standing on with the tentacles and stuff and that massive gun, but that's really where it stops. Once you get up to the figure drawing and the character drawing, it just loses me altogether. And this is one I'm not really sure on anyways. And a lot of these covers I'm not really sure on. They don't really jump out of the crowd and make me want to buy this book. But again, that's just me. Artistry is open to expression and interpretation, and you might like this book, but for me, I'm just not a fan of this cover, so it's probably one that I'm going to leave on the shelf if I'm being honest. Then we move into Captain Planet #1, this cover C from Christian Ward variant. This Christian Ward variant, I love this cover. It does have a lot going on. I understand that, but it's Captain Planet, and usually Captain Planet, there's a lot going on anyways, but I like the kind of use of Captain Planet and how everything's just revolving around him and going into his figure and form, and how Earth is part of him, and everything is just part of who Captain Planet is and what his makeup is. I'm super excited as a Captain Planet fan from the childhood to check out this #1 issue, but I did love this Captain Planet cover here. And then for our worst cover of the week, we get this Kaya 26, this Peach Momoko variant. Peach Momoko is very hit or miss for me. There's times where I love her stuff, but then there's times where I think her anime type stuff, it just doesn't work. And this, for me, is not a bad cover for all intents and purposes. As far as Peach Momoko goes, I feel like it's a decent cover, but I'm just not a fan of it. I like the little character right here kind of falling on what looks like a planet, but I don't know. It's just the design and how cramped up everything here is, to me, just really turns me off to this cover. But again, it's not a terrible cover. I don't really feel like it should be on the worst cover of the week, but when I look at all the other Kaya covers, I just feel like it is the worst representation or the weakest representation of those covers. But moving into a best cover of the week, we have the Herculoids #3, cover E, this Dan Panozan variant. I like the stained glass look almost of the different sections with the different characters from the Herculoids. It's very well detailed. It's very nicely done. I like Dan Panozan, and I really like this cover. Then we get to this Creeping Below from Vanessa R. Del Rey. #3. There's so much going on here, and you can't really tell what's going on. Like, you can see a couple of skulls and kind of decaying, but like, is this more bones? I don't know. I think it's very busy. The use of colors here, how everything kind of blends in and runs. It looks almost, if I look at it more now, it looks more like here's a head and there's an arm there. I don't know. This cover is really just all over the place, very smushed together, and has so much going on. It's really hard to make out what this cover is. So I think for me, this is going to be a hard pass on this book. But let me know if this cover intrigues you, or what covers on this list so far have intrigued you in the comment section below. Then we get into, I think, one of the best covers of the week that a lot of people are talking about. I'm talking about Pop Kills #3, this cover B, Adam Hughes variant. I believe there are a couple of nudity variants out there also where the Fizz 1 sticker is gone. I swore I've seen some of those, but I didn't see them any on the sites that I used to look up the covers. But I do love this cover. I love the innuendo with the giant hot dog and the mustard and the Coke. And I really like Adam Hughes. So this will probably be one that'll be hard to find, not only in shops, but on the secondary market. Then for worst cover of the week, we're going into Space Ghost Johnny Quest, Space Quest #1. Two of my favorites of the childhood mixed into one book. You got Space Ghost, you got Johnny Quest. But this cover Z 1 and 7 Derek Chu foil variant just is not doing it for me. Usually I love Derek Chu, but who is this? That is not Johnny Quest. Space Ghost looks downright impressive, but who is this? This is not Johnny Quest. This is like Theo Vaughn Quest, or Theo Vaughn cosplaying as Johnny Quest on this cover. I feel like just Derek Chu really nailed it with Space Ghost, but when it came to Johnny Quest, kind of dropped the ball a little bit. So as far as the Johnny Quest books go, this was definitely the worst cover for me as an offering from Johnny Quest. But from a worst offering of Johnny Quest, we go to a best cover for Red Sonja Attacks Mars #2. This cover H 1 and 15 Greg Land Virgin variant. Look at this beautiful Greg Land variant. I like that close-up shot of Red Sonja with the sword, with the reflection of the Martians from Mars Attacks in it. It is beautifully done. It is a great cover. It is a great Red Sonja cover, and one that would look great in a frame, signed by Greg Land, or, you know, CGC signature series on there by Greg Land. It would look great in your collection, even if you're not a Red Sonja fan and you're just a Greg Land cover. If you're tired of seeing the same Greg Land covers that he's been doing on like Spider-Gwen and all those Marvel books where they're in the same pose, this is something different, something outside of the box. I love this Greg Land cover, and I can't wait to pick this book up. Yes, I'm going to buy a Red Sonja book just to add this to my collection because I feel like it's worth that incentive ratio price you're going to pay for it. Then for our worst cover of the week, we have In Bloom number 4, this Ben Temple Smith variant. Very much like the variant we talked about a little bit ago. This kind of reminds me of The Last of Us with this infection or mushrooms blooming out of what looks like a body. I just kind of feel like it's all over the place a little bit. There's a lot going on. You get the sense that it's blooming out of this body, but it's just not a cover. I feel like it could have used a little bit more detail, and I feel like the use of blacks in here kind of wash everything out a little bit, especially when you're trying to get that green to glow. I think you could get it a little bit more brighter to kind of emphasize the glowingness of those mushrooms or whatever they are, if that's what the artist was going for. But to me, it's just a cover I didn't particularly care for this week, and I'm not going to pick it up. And I feel like there are other covers on this In Bloom that were better representations of the book and what the book's about, and kind of more bang for your buck there. Then of course I had to do this one, Blood Squad 7 number 8. This cover C 1 in 15 Jim Rugg variant. Talk about channeling your inner Rob Liefeld. That's the first. I was like, is this a Rob Liefeld cover when I first saw it? Not a fan. I think it speaks for itself why. Just the overuse of muscles, the overuse of the anime looking faces with all the hard points, and I'm just not a fan of this cover. And it's one that I'm not that I'm gonna read this book anyways because I haven't read it, but I'm just not a fan of this Jim Ruggs variant. Now we move into our honorable mentions, and of course what our honorable mentions are, if there are books that maybe there are multiple covers of and another cover made this list, but I like this cover just as much, but there was something on the other one that just kind of edged it out a little bit. And we have this Hello Darkness number 10 cover F 1 in 10 Rebecca Puebla Virgin variant. Sorry if I butchered that, but this cover is absolutely amazing. The depiction of the skulls, her vampiric nature, laying on them, looking upside down at the camera. Beautiful cover, amazing cover. What a great 1 in 10 ratio. This is what ratio should be. And instead of some of these other ratios are like, why is this a ratio? This could have been a main cover, and one of the A covers, or one of the open order covers could have been the ratio. This is one that deserves that ratio, and at a 1 in 10, what a steal. Then for my worst covers, we have this from Keen Spot, Don't Run with Scissors number 1, the Stefano Corselli variant. I just don't like this variant. It's got a kind of a Scotty Young feel to it. I feel like there's so much, with the cover being on the side like this, there's so much open area and real estate here on the rest of the cover that could have been used, that it just isn't one that I feel like is worth picking up. Like if the artist isn't even going to use all of this real estate, why should we spend our hard-earned money on the book? You want that beautiful cover. A lot of people look at these covers as art, and sometimes buy the books for just the covers. And in this case, there's so much real estate left available there. It kind of leaves you wanting as a fan and a fan of comic book art. So it's one that just doesn't really have a lot going for it to make you want to pick it up. Then we got this Captain Planet cover 1 in 20 Ben Oliver Virgin variant. I love the use of colors here. I love kind of Captain Planet coming out of them with the silhouette of the Earth shining off of it. I just think it's a really well done Captain Planet cover and kind of captures the essence of Captain Planet. Then again, back to Red Sonja Mars Attacks Mars number 2, this cover B, Jay Lee Virgin variant. I'll be honest with you, I went back and forth between the Greg Land and the Jay Lee cover. I just love that Greg Land cover a little bit more with the reflection of
all the Martians in the sword, and the detail of the depiction of Red Sonja here, I just love her standing there with the Martian on that spear, looking eye to eye. It is a beautiful cover. You honestly can't go wrong with either one of these Red Sonja Attacks Mars covers. So for a viewer request, I got a viewer request that says, hey, you did a signature section for Scotty Young, and you've done one for J. Scott Campbell. There's so many Mark Spears covers every week for different titles. How about a Mark Spears one? And I said, you know what? You asked me, took the time to DM me and ask me, so I'm going to go ahead and give it to you. So we have our Mark Spears section here, and my Mark Spears covers of the week starting off belongs to Silverhawks number 3. This cover K Mark Spears cover. I love the Mark Spears' use of colors and his realism and just how beautiful this Silverhawks cover is. And from that Silverhawks cover, we go to my favorite Space Ghost Johnny Quest cover. The one I'm probably going to pick up, honestly, is this cover G, Mark Spears Foil Virgin variant. I love the use of the purple smoke in the background, kind of hiding a little bit of Space Ghost's head where his eyes glow through. That use of that purple really helps those eyes pop. Then you got Johnny Quest and Haji with Bandit in the foreground. Beautiful cover. I love the use of all the colors. I think it stands on its own. It's a great looking Johnny Quest, a great looking Haji, and look how dope Bandit looks on there. I love Johnny Quest. I love Space Ghost. I love this cover, and this will be one that I'm picking up, and I'm going to get Mark's autograph on it as fast as I absolutely can, because he's killing it in the game, and now he's been doing a lot of fan favorites lately. G.I. Joe, Spawn, his series, and now we're finally getting into a realm that I can get down with. Not that I couldn't get down with G.I. Joe, because I was a G.I. Joe fan as a kid, but Johnny Quest and Space Ghost were more of my jam, and I'm so going to get this, and I can't wait to get a beautiful Mark Spears signature on it, on this beautiful, beautiful Johnny Quest cover. And then next up from Mark Spears, we have his Captain Planet number 1 cover J, Mark Spears Virgin variant. I'm kind of on the fence about this cover at first, but the redesign of the Captain Planet has kind of grown on me. I love the Mark's, art on this and how Captain Planet's suit kind of shines, and in the space background with the curvature of the Earth and him standing there looking very defiant, looking very heroic. I just think that the whole beard situation with Captain Planet is really throwing me off, but it's kind of grown on me over the weeks as I've seen more and more of these covers come out, and it's Mark Spears, so you can't go wrong with anything really that Mark Spears is throwing out there right now. And then from that, we go to the Return of the Living Dead number 4 Spears cover. Again, just a beautiful zombie eating brains. Nobody quite does these monsters characters like Mark Spears. I love the kind of turquoise smoke in the background, where it really helps the greenish of the zombie, the green and red on the zombie pop, along with that lower half black. I think it's a beautiful cover. I think it makes a statement. It speaks for itself, and definitely screams, hey, Return of the Living Dead. You might want to pick this up and read it. Get that Mark Spears stuff. Get that Mark Spears goodness, and enjoy the show that Mark Spears, or enjoy the ride that Mark Spears is taking you on. But that's it. That's our best and worst covers of the week, or at least my best and worst covers of the week. Let me know in the comment section below what you guys think, what you're looking for, what you think your best covers of the week or worst covers of the week were, what you're excited to pick up tomorrow on New Comic Book Day. As always, if you like any of the content we're giving you, why not hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, click that bell so you get notifications on whenever we release a new video on the channel, whether it's an Absolute Geek podcast, whether it's a wrestling podcast, whether it's a best covers of the week. Any content we display on this channel, you'll get notified the minute it goes up. And if you want more covers from previous weeks or more content from this channel, why don't you hit one of these icons that'll pop up your screen on the end of the video and spend more time as part of the Absolute Geek Army. And on that note, that'll do it for this week's episode of Best and Worst Covers of the Week. I hope you have a great week. Get out there, buy some comics, and we'll see you at the spinner rack.